Welcome to Capacity Europe Extra, powered by JSA, the live streaming newsroom for telecom and data center professionals. I'm Barb Mitchell, coming to you today live from the Intercontinental at the O2 at the exhibit hall floor of Capacity Europe, and joining me is Tony Grayson, General Manager of Compass Quantum at Compass Data Centers. Thanks for being here.
Hey, I'm happy to be here and thanks for having me.
So, for our viewers who may want to learn a little bit more, can you tell us a little bit about Compass Quantum?
Yeah, and so Compass Quantum is a company underneath the Compass Data Centers. And what we're really focused on is delivering white space as a service, meaning if you give us a Latin long, we can have a module data center in that location and we'll run it for you all on an OpEx fee. So it really we're trying to basically take all the stuff that no one wants to do, the land, the permitting, the construction, the operations, and take that out of someone's hands, and they can focus on the cool stuff, the network stuff, the virtualized compute stuff, all that kind of IP that's out there.
And this is, I believe, I know you're sort of busy connecting with people all over the world. I believe this is your first Capacity Europe, though.
This is my first one. So all my time at Facebook, AWS, even at Oracle, teams always came, but I never came. So this is the first time. I think it's great.
Yeah. So what have you been finding so far? Are you having lots of really great conversations?
Yeah, and I think what's different here is, I've been in a lot of these where it's like kind of engineer on engineer and ops on ops, and that's great. I love geeking out about that stuff, but in the end, you need the decision makers. And I think what Capacity Europe has done is brought the towers, the telcos, the networks, the fiber, the cable landing station, and the data center people all together. So your time is very efficient because you can kind of get the whole kind of physical infrastructure stack, talk to everyone, and actually talk to people who write the checks and make decisions instead of getting a pass through. So first time and absolutely love it.
And so what conversations are you finding are coming up? We're getting closer to the middle of, it feels like we were saying we both come from the west coast of North America. And so it's a long journey to come to London, but I think worth it. And it's interesting to see the global conversation, and just curious what you're seeing as key themes.
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise for me is kind of the whole ESG. I think outside of Europe, we're still trying to define what that means. And so in the end, that means the time to market and bottom line trump everything. And so you can talk about sustainability, but the RFPs are not necessarily written that way. In Europe, they've defined green financing. They have the Green Deal. So there's some teeth to it. So much like GDPR and Gaia X, you can't come into Europe and pass data sovereignty across borders. You can't do the same thing with sustainability and kind of slough it or greenwash it or kind of like, oh, we got it. Like in good faith, I'll do that. You can't do that kind of stuff in Europe. And so to me, that was eye-opening. I thought it was pleasantly surprised, super excited to see it, but it's also happening at the smaller scale stuff that I'm doing. So, how do we get an ILA hut that's sustainable, 200 kilowatts, that is off-grid power using PV or battery or solid oxide fuel cells or, PEM fuel cell backup? I think those are the conversations I want to have, and I've had them here. So it's been truly eye-opening. I was used the word gobsmacked yesterday. I'm not sure if I'm using that right, but I was just amazed when we had this conversation yesterday.
Yeah. And on the note of ESG and the conversations, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm chatting with people it's a global priority and of one that's increasing importance.
Yeah.
But we can learn from one another globally, right? Yeah. And I understand. You also, while you've been in town, were able to attend the iMasons event. Can you talk a little bit about your involvement?
Yeah, I think iMasons has started off with a climate accord, which is, I think, at 107 companies. And Dean, I'm sorry if I get that wrong. But we've all kind of signed up to work on this climate, defining what scope 2, 1, and 3 are, how we track that, and how we go forward. And so the hope really is that everything that we're learning, that we're talking about, gets into the RFPs. So the suppliers know exactly what consumers want. Because you're in this weird situation right now. If I'm a supplier, I could build this awesome PV farm with battery backup, but who's going to buy it? Who's going to risk that technical stuff? And the RFPs have to tell it to us. And so I think iMasons is really doing a good job of getting everyone together at the same table to codify what we all should be asking and how we should be going forward.
So tell us a little bit about, looking ahead, we're getting to, I keep saying it's almost the end of 2022. I mean, it's not really, right? Yeah. We still have almost a whole quarter, But it's getting there, and so
Yep.
we're all starting to look ahead to 2023 and beyond. What can we expect to see?
I think what we can expect to see is, I think both in actually, I'd say across the world, we're building out more long haul fiber, we're building out more metro networks, and this is finally, fingers crossed, are going to enable the edge. And we won't get into the definition of edge because I think it's superfluous. In the end, it'll be data centers everywhere with different platforms that are on top of it. And so you have fiber that will enable that. You'll have true 5G, not fake 5G, true 5G, millimeter wave that will provide the bandwidth, the throughput, and then maybe satellites will enable all these kind of edge platforms. So I think hyperscales will continue to grow, but you'll start to see these cool kind of IoT, CDN, smart city, smart road kind of platforms being built right now, all utilizing these kind of smaller data centers.
So, any parting words to our viewers in terms of what to keep in mind with Compass Quantum?
I think the important thing to keep in mind is, guess what? You don't have to do it yourself. We can take all the hassle out of finding land, building data centers wherever you want, kind of all in our operating function. So you don't have to do a CapEx overlay. You can just come to us. We'll take it off your hands, and you focus on the cool IP stuff that goes inside. Stuff that I would love to do, but we're going to do the wrapper for you. So.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you for that, Tony. And if our viewers would like to connect with you, either during the week or after everyone's gone home and wants to reconnect post event, how can they do that?
I think I'm pretty prevalent on LinkedIn, so please DM me on LinkedIn, send me emails, send me tweets. I kind of get on social media a lot. I think it's important to get the word out there and try to push some of these governance issues. But please reach out. Also, if you're a veteran, separate of all this, please reach out. I want to help you out.
Thank you. Thanks for that parting message, and have a safe journey home to the West Coast. Yeah, thank you. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to Capacity Europe Extra, powered by JSA. Stay tuned as we'll continue streaming live on the floor here at the exhibit hall at Capacity Europe. See you soon.